smoke the dizzy, but we can always share some ditties. It's just a cup in time. This song doesn't have to run. Life's all of us, not every moment we can be feeling fine. I wanna share a moment, just a second if you will, maybe even a cup of thrill. We could share this performance. It's tea time, come sit with me.
Well, welcome, guys. That's right. And Miss Liz is in the house. And tonight we have a golden heart tea time. That is right. And you know why it's a golden heart? Because we're going to be talking about memories and preserving pictures. And that is something that is dear to Miss Liz's heart. So before we get started, we're going to get everybody over to Miss Liz's YouTube channel, Spotify, Facebook, LinkedIn, all of those good platforms. We're going to get you to subscribe, follow, and share these tea times out, because one tea time shared is making a difference at a moment. So let's get the disclaimer out there, and let me get Krista Kowalczyk in here, and we are going to spill some amazing tea time tonight. I just blanked out for a second there. Let me get back over here. Miss Liz, click, back on. Disclaimer for Miss Liz's Tea Time live show. Miss Liz's Tea Time is a global platform dedicated to sharing real life stories, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations that inspire awareness, healing, and connection. I, Miss Liz, is going live using StreamYard. Before leaving a comment during the live broadcast, please grant StreamYard permission to display your name at StreamYard.com. Please be advised that all the content brought forward during any Tea Time show is presented in good faith. However, discussions may include opinions, beliefs, and perspectives that do not necessarily represent the views of Miss Liz or the Tea Time platform. Information shared by the guests is based on their own experiences and perceived to be accurate at the given time of airing. All guests, viewers, and participants are responsible for using their own judgment when considering any action or decision that may relate to these discussions. Some episodes may cover sensitive topics, including but not limited to trauma, abuse, grief, mental health, and other emotionally triggering subjects. Listeners' and viewers' discretion is strongly advised. Tea Time with Miss Liz is an open discussion forum designed to offer insight, inspire awareness, and create connection. It is not a substitute for professional medical, legal, or therapeutical advice. If you require professional support, please seek assistance from qualified professionals or trusted resources in your area. If you have questions regarding this disclaimer or the content of this discussion, you are welcome to contact me directly at my email at bookingmissliz@gmail.com or visit my link tree at Miss Liz's Tea Time. By choosing to participate in, comment on, or view these live shows, you acknowledge and accept this disclaimer. Your participation is entirely voluntary. I myself, Miss Liz, is welcoming you to join the conversation with an open heart, and at any time you feel this platform is not right for you, I respect those wishes and decision and welcome you back whenever you are ready. Tea Time with Miss Liz is serving truth and awareness one cup at a time. Now let me give you a little bit on who I have sitting in the back who is going to be sharing a golden heart tonight. Tonight's golden heart tea guest is Krista Kowalczyk, a memory keeper and storyteller of life through the lens of photograph. Krista specializes in saving your photos, helping families and individuals preserve their most cherished memories, stories, and legacies for future generations. Her passion lies in protecting the threads of history that connect us all, ensuring that our stories are not lost but treasured. Tonight, we will explore the importance of photos, memory keeping, and the heart behind preserving what matters most. Please join me in welcoming Krista Kowalczyk to Tea Time. Welcome, Krista.
Hello. Hi, Miss Liz. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you. Now, Krista, before we get into the photos, I'm going to take you down a little rabbit hole.
Okay.
So who was Krista as a little girl and who's Krista now?
Oh, gosh. Funny story. I actually do some work mentoring students. And I don't talk about this much because it doesn't apply to many, but I am doing a profession that I've wanted to do since I was 5 years old. And I think I'm one of the few people that can say that. I have loved photography. So I've spent most of my life as a professional photographer, but as a young child, I think I was probably my earliest memories, 5 years, 4 or 5 years old. I was running around with my mom's camera, saved up my money to buy my own little point and shoot camera when I was maybe 7. So I am a lifelong lover of photography. Grew up in rural Pennsylvania, went to college for photography in upstate New York, and got my degree in photography. So that has really been so much of my life. And then me, Krista, the adult, I've done exactly what I always wanted to do. I started my own, moved to Southwest Florida. That wasn't actually on the agenda, but no complaints about living in Florida. But I moved to Southwest Florida just out of college and started my own business and have owned that business for going on 30 years, photographing families and weddings in Southwest Florida. So that was my main thing and most of my adulthood. But after Hurricane Ian came through and devastated my area here in Southwest Florida just 3 years ago, almost exactly 3 years ago, um, I jumped in and started helping people to salvage flood damaged photos. And that kind of changed the trajectory of my life pretty quickly. That I quickly transitioned to helping people with photos. What started with helping people to salvage those photos, realizing that most people have a mess of photos. They're not, they're not doing things to properly care for their old photos. Their digital photos are a mess. And I realized there just was just a great need for somebody to advocate for cleaning up your photo mess. So that's been my latest mission and what I work on. That's what my book is about and all.
So, Krista, let's go back to Hurricane Ian. At that moment, did you know that you would be doing what you're doing now?
Absolutely not. No. When I right after the hurricane, there was just so much devastation. It was literally miles and miles of I mean, thousands of homes. I think 5,000 homes were just completely destroyed, couldn't be repaired, and 50,000 homes were severely damaged. I immediately after the storm, we had damage to our home, but it was still livable, luckily. So we didn't have the same problem that the other many thousands and thousands of people had. So right after the storm, I went and started helping my neighbor, her father's home, my neighbor friend, her childhood home. That house had over 10 feet of water come through it, and I mean, everything was ruined. Her father was in his late 80s, had lived in this house for 60 years. So you can only imagine how many memories and things were all stored in that home. And unfortunately, when flood water comes through like that, everything is just destroyed. Mold is immediately starts growing. So I didn't go to their house with them to help with photos. I went just to help like everybody else did. I mean, our entire community stepped up and was helping each other. So I went there to just help her father take all of the things out to the curb and throw out everything, right down to the cabinetry and the appliances. I mean, every single item had to go. But in the process of that, she had started just collecting a photo here and a photo there that she'd found on the wall. And some of them had some mud on them or some scratches, but you could still visually see some of the picture. And she set them aside and she just came over to me and she said, Krista, you're a professional photographer. Is there anything I can do with these? What do you think? And I was like, gosh, yeah, we can definitely, there's steps I can take to clean them up and try to digitize them. And that sparked that sparked the whole big change of what I started doing from that point forward. But that was the first step. So no, it wasn't in any way something I had intended to do or ever even thought of doing. It just kind of presented itself, and I saw the need.
So, Krista, having 30 years of experience in photographs, that helped a lot with what you're doing now, right?
There are a lot of things that I do that maybe I took for granted that I just know how to do. I would say some of it. So I have my bachelor's degree in photography from the Rochester Institute of Technology, RIT, in upstate New York. And it's an amazing school, but a very technical school with a lot of tech classes. So a lot of the classes I took in photography back in the 90s were like the chemistry of photography, what they're made of, so I knew a lot about a print photograph. You give me a photo from the 1980s, I can tell you how it was created because that was all ingrained in my mind. And at that time, I thought this is the most useful knowledge. I will never use any of this information because I had known I wanted to go out and take pictures of families and weddings. That I wasn't going to be a chemist working in a lab at Kodak. So I took these classes begrudgingly, but I realized I'm like, well, I know all about what these photos are made of, what you can do to clean them, what you can, so a lot of it came back. I was pulling out some information, just way old stuff I learned in college. But then the 30 years of being a professional photographer, I knew all about the digital aspect, about digital restoration. That was just in the very beginning when I was in college. But a lot of what I know about digital restoration, I've learned through my career, and photo organizing in general. Any professional photographer will tell you, anybody, not anybody, but you can be you can't be a professional photographer if you can't organize the photos. You can take a million nice ones, but if they're all a mess, you're not going to be in business very long. So being organized with my pictures and having a system to have everything digital and to keep it all organized, that definitely came from my years as a professional photographer, and put into place when I started helping people. That friend that I started helping, and then all of the people that I helped after that.
Well, and that's one thing that we don't talk about, right? As a chemist of photography, right? We talk about
Yeah.
taking a picture, putting it in a photo album, and looking and putting it on walls and frames and that, but we don't talk about how it is
It's a
developed.
pretty miraculous science. It really it is quite it's a tech field and a miraculous thing. I think people forget about that aspect of it for sure.
So, what was one moment that stood out with you with Hurricane Ian? One moment, one family, was it your own family? Was it a friend? Was it the neighbor that really stuck out to you that you were like, oh, we got to do something here?
Yeah. So that friend, I have lots of you said that I have so many moments that came to mind from
Well,
moments
that's what
where
I
I
mean.
was
Like even the book, like in the
how do
back of
you
you,
pick
there's so
one?
many moments. I'm just like, okay, pick one, and you're like, oh, it's like picking your favorite child, right? I can't do that.
Exactly. One moment. One that always oh gosh, there's so many, but one moment that I had while helping people. So essentially, I started with that one friend, and then I started posting about the work I was doing, and then literally knocked on doors, just went to strangers' homes saying, "Can I help you with your photographs?" Because I realized how so many people are just throwing in the trash, and there are people. I go out to the curb where they had heaps of, sometimes 5 feet high of stuff, and we pull out a portrait, and I'd be like, "No, we can fix this." So I was just kind of going door to door helping people. There was one family that this happened kind of a couple times, one that really stuck out. A lot of the one thing to keep in mind is that as I was trying to salvage these photographs, a lot of them were destroyed. There was absolutely nothing I can do. And, floodwater, it's nasty, it's moldy, it's dirty, and it really just took some photos and destroyed them. So there were a lot of cases where people would hand me, like this particular situation, they brought me a whole box full of photos, and um, they wanted me to salvage these. What can you do? And I opened the box, and I would say 80% of them there's nothing at all I could do. It was a couple hundred photos, and I was like, I can't do, but I mean, I took the box. I'm like, I'll do the best I can. And I saved about, let's say, 30 pictures from that particular box. And I was so nervous to give this box back to this family because they had given me hundreds of photos in hopes that I would come back with hundreds of photos. I thought they're going to be upset. This is going to be hard. I'm going to have to, sit with them and tell them that they can't be saved. And um, so I show up to bring this box back, and this particular box of photos was of a child this family had lost 20 years ago. So it was a baby. She was 2. The baby had drowned, and they had saved this collection of beautiful photos of her. And this was all they had. This was her. I mean, this was their memory of her. And it was. I just worked so hard. So I bring them back this 20%, the 30 pictures that I had saved. And I took a deep breath and I said, okay, this is what we were able to save. And they were so happy. They were so thankful and happy that I was able to save them. So it wasn't like I expected that they were going to be upset or angry or disappointed. They'd already prepared themselves that they were all destroyed, and there was nothing that could be done. So the fact that I was able to hand them back 30 photos, that I was able to wash the mud off and digitally restore and fix them to look nice again. They were so thankful. And that really fueled me to, I think, keep going and to want to help more people when I realized that the people that had lived through this storm and lost so much were so just desperate for one little thing to be saved to say that's going to be okay, because nothing was okay. So I realized that I had a mission at that point to just try to help as many people as I could to save that, just save one little thing for them. So I would say that sticks with me, mostly just because I think it fueled the project for me to keep going, because it was a lot of sadness, and it was hard for sure.
Well, you gave that little 1 inch of hope, right? Even if you brought back one picture, you were able to bring back that hope, during that storm. And that's what I love about the name of your book. I'm going to bring your book up so you can share a little bit about your book, and then we'll get
Yeah.
back into some of these questions. But I really want to get your book out there so people can kind of get an idea of how bad and how much you did save during this time. So if you just want to share a little bit, Krista, about
Yeah,
what the book looks like for the audio listeners, and
for
that kind of
sure.
explain the cover and how you came about
Yeah.
doing the book.
So the book is called Beyond the Storm, and the cover is just kind of my vision of kind of a storm clouds and this mess of photos everywhere, and this is kind of this just makes me think of the the experience itself, the hurricane, the months afterwards. So the cover is just that vision of that, but the book, I can share a little bit about the book if you'd like. It's a so the book is half memoir and half a guide, a tutorial, I guess I'd say. And it started because during this time after the hurricane, it was like no other experience I had been through. There was just so much devastation everywhere, and everything was just gone. It was amazing to me how much could be completely lost. And so it was a hard time, and just to almost help me, I started jotting down notes and my feelings about that. So it sort of started as a little bit of a journal, but then I realized as I was helping people, and this continued on, that most of the situations that I was encountering, most of the homes I'd go into and the people I was talking to that lost photos, like that family, it really could have been prevented if, if they had done a few steps ahead of time, a few preventative measures. And I realized, talking to people one after another, that most people had no idea, or it just had never occurred to them that they could or should do anything with their old photos. But at the same time, they were telling me over and over and over again, it was the hardest loss. It was the most difficult thing they had to face after the storm. And we're talking about people that lost everything, their couch, their refrigerator, it's all sitting on the curb. And this one item, this one group of things was the most hurtful or difficult loss. And I thought, maybe I need to share this story as an inspiration so that other people can see the reality, both twofold. I wanted to share the reality of what it's like to live through a storm, the reality of what it's like to lost everything and how that looked and how that felt. But then how easy it could be for anyone sitting here, anybody listening to us here right now. It's not hard to just take a couple preventative measures, a couple preventative steps to make sure your photos are safe, so that if a disaster were to happen, that it would be that one thing that would still be okay. So
So,
that's the
Chris,
whole story. Yeah.
so Krista, how did you get the title of the book?
It was a kind of a collaborative with my publisher. They really had liked we threw around a couple ideas, but it was a collaborative process to come up with it.
I like the word beyond because it means that it's moving forward, right? It's not staying stuck in the storm. It's moving beyond the storm.
Yes.
And a lot of us,
Yeah.
when we go through a traumatic event like a hurricane, and that, some of us get stuck in that storm, right?
Mhm.
So I really like the word beyond. It opens up the door of opportunity and gives hope
Yeah.
as well. Uh, we have a question that came in, and it says, why do you believe photographs carry such power in healing, memory, and identity?
Oh my gosh. Sometimes questions like this are so hard for me to answer, because, like I said, I've been in love with photographs since I was 5 years old. To me, they're everything. Sometimes I have to dial myself back a little bit because I realize other people aren't as obsessed as I am with photos. So, I mean, photos hold our memories. I mean, they really, I can't think, like, there's so many times I have photos or different photos I'll think of that if it weren't for the photo, I might not really remember that, or it might not be remembered the same way. So I do really think that they're just so valuable in that regard, and just such, they're so powerful. The power a photograph can hold. I mean, it can, it can destroy, it can destroy someone, right, because of a photo or an image of some sort. It can also heal people. I mean, they're so powerful. It really, yeah, I'm definitely, I definitely love a good photo for sure.
Krista, I like that you said that, photography equals memory, especially somebody that's going through dementia or Alzheimer's
Yes.
or stuff like that, or a traumatic event where concussion, where they lose their memory for a while. And you can bring these pictures in. But like you also said,
Yeah.
it's also traumatic as well, because we might see a picture of a war or
Mhm.
a horrible event, but that event also brings a story. And I think pictures are another way of telling stories. It's like the new storyteller, right?
Yeah.
Who was in that
Yeah.
picture? How was the weather? Was the sun shining? Was the moon up? Like, like
Yeah.
there's so much you can talk about the picture. Um,
Oh, for
what
sure.
what's one picture that you've taken in your 30 years that really was like, wow, that's a photo that I'll remember forever?
Okay, that is such a hard question. I've literally taken millions of pictures. I've had the opportunity to work with some kind of celebrity type people and be in some pretty fancy events. And gosh, I volunteered at some, but I don't know if there is one single photo that I would say is the my favorite picture. I fall in love with all of them. I have this they really connect me when I'm photographing. For instance, if I'm photographing a wedding, I love those. They're as much my pictures as they are the clients. Like, I love those pictures. I love that connection. And I have just different pictures. I think of it. They make me, I love them, not because I think that they're technically the best photo, but because they bring me back to that special day with that wedding that I photographed. And I loved how that couple was so in love on the beach, and I captured that moment at sunset. And sometimes I think it's even more about my feelings for that couple and my feelings for that day and how much I loved being there than it was the perfect sunset. But to me, I don't know. So yeah, I don't have
Right,
a
they're all
single one.
perfect. It's like she's
They're all
a
great.
photographer, guys. Like, it's like I told you before we went live, right? I just took 56,000 pictures off of my phone, and my kids are like, "Mom, you're crazy." But you know what? I'd like to take a picture of the oddest thing, like a caterpillar or a flower, like just a moment, right? Just to take
Me
that
too.
pause.
Yeah.
That that 5 seconds or 2 seconds that it takes to
Yeah.
take that picture, right?
Oh,
That
absolutely. Yeah. I take a ton with my phone. I probably take more with my phone than I do my professional equipment anymore. But I do. I feel like, especially as I'm getting older, I think about wanting to preserve the most random thing, and it will be like just a little morning. I'll walk out in the morning really early into my back patio, and there'll be a little bit of a mist or a fog in the air, and I'll just take a picture of my back patio. I probably have 500 pictures of my back patio at different times of the day, but I want to keep that forever, just that morning. And it's something so simple as walking out on my patio to have my coffee in the morning. I want to save that. So I do take a lot of photos of just where I was, and sometimes it's not even because it was a photographically great image or
it was just that moment
artistic.
that you needed,
It was,
right?
yeah, I just wanted to keep it. Yeah.
It was like a pause button, right? We don't have a pause
Yes.
button that we just that's a perfect
Yes.
moment. That's peace. That's quiet.
Abs- yes.
Like even a cup with the steam coming up, like, it's
Oh,
just that moment
yeah.
that you want to
Yeah.
preserve.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Which goes into the question that we have that came in is many people take pictures, but they don't think about protecting them. What's the biggest mistake people make when it comes to safeguarding their photos?
Um, Biggest mistake, um, well, doing nothing is probably the biggest mistake. I would say most people, they aren't even, like you said, you took, your 50,000 photos off your phone. I think a lot of people aren't even doing that. They're trusting that they're just in one cloud service and that's fine. And not thinking about their photos at all. So I would say that would be the single, just not giving it any thought, and assuming they're just going to be fine. I think people are generally, I would say 90% of the people I speak with are taking big risks with their photos right now, whether it's their phone pictures or their old print photos, their parents' wedding photos, grandparents' photos. I think that people are being a lot more risky than they realize they are. And I am, since that hurricane and helping people, and I've kind of got an audience on social media, and I've been on different news channels and stuff. I have people now reaching out to me all the time with photos that have been destroyed, but it's not always, actually it's not very often because of a natural disaster. It's actually just because they were left in the garage, or they got a little moisture on them, they didn't know, they pulled out the old wedding album and they're all destroyed. I mean, that I hear that all the time. So I think leaving your photos in a closet and assuming they're fine, or leaving them on your phone and never doing anything and assuming they're fine, I mean, I think that's the biggest mistake that people are making.
So how can we preserve our pictures?
So I look at it like two projects. It is two things. It's your digital photos, the photos on your phone, your most recent pictures, and then it's those print photos. And they're two different projects that you kind of have to handle maybe simultaneously, or just look at them as two different things. Starting with the print photos, this one, it's really not that hard to get a digital copy of all of those photos. The majority of photos that most of us have, if you think about it, the print itself is not that important. It's what's on it, the memory of that. So if you think about, when you took the kids to the zoo when they were little, or, a picture of your friends in college, like these are pictures that you might be heartbroken to never have that photo again if something happened and it was destroyed. But also, is the paper copy really that important, or was it just the memory that's on it? And that, I think, stands for most of the print pictures people have today. So for that, I would say just get a digital copy, put the print pictures back in the closet. And if something happens to that closet, you know what? It's okay, because you have the digital memory still. It's all right. And as far as getting the digital copy, it's really not that hard. Most desktop scanners are pretty easy to use. I have one I recommend that is for photos that will let you take, it's called, the scanner is called the Epson Fast Photo Scanner, and it lets you take a stack of photos. You can take 30 photos at a time, you stick them in, and it just zip, 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 zip. It's zips them through and scans them. So it's really easy. And then there's even phone apps you can use your phone to get a digital copy of the memory. So there's ways to do that. That's not that hard. And when it comes to the heirloom photos that are, you care about the print, it's your grandparents' wedding album. There's definitely boxes that you can get that are, they're waterproof, or they're fireproof. You can get boxes. You can use archival papers to put in with them to make sure that it will help the photos from fading. So there's different steps you can take with those old photos to give them a little bit extra step in securing them. In addition to, also, I do suggest scanning everything. So yeah, for sure on that. And then phone pictures. Sorry, I feel like I'm rambling. I hope I'm
No,
not.
no. Go.
Okay. Phone pictures. That's project number 2. So for the phone pictures, I would say always start with the pictures you're taking today. I think what happens with people when they want to organize their photos, they think they need to start with 2017 or 2012 or whenever their mess of digital stuff started, and then they procrastinate. And next thing you know, they've added 6 more months of pictures from today, which are also not organized. So I would say, no matter what, start with the photos you took today. And you're going to start today going forward. And then once you have a routine in place for keeping everything organized, it's really not that hard. It's going to be like brushing your teeth. You hop up, you do it, you go on your day. It takes 2 seconds. So in that routine, what I would suggest for people is to get in kind of, for me, I just do daily. When I hop in bed at the end of the night, if I took any pictures that day, I just slide through them really quick, and I give it that heart button to indicate it's a favorite. And that really helps, especially if you are taking pictures like you and I are talking about, of mist and steam and things that are like really not that important, that those aren't diluting the pictures of graduation and
Okay.
birthday and the amazing things. So I will go through and heart the ones that are extra special, which typically is not my mist in the morning while I'm having coffee, but I'll slide through. I personally do that once every night when I hop in bed, but I'd say once a week, even if you make it like a Sunday night thing. When you hop in bed, or if you're watching a TV show, it's easy to just flip through the week and just heart those favorites. And once you start doing that regularly, you'll always have a much smaller collection of photos. It just, that is just an easy way to make a manageable group of pictures. And then the second thing I do is once a month. Well, actually, second thing I would say is having a cloud service outside of iCloud, something like I use Amazon Photos, which is free if you have Amazon Prime. So it's just an easy way, and it automatically backs up all of my photos. So I have that safe copy as well. Um, Personally, I never even look at them there. They're only going there for me as a CNET in case of an emergency. But I suggest everybody does it. Anybody who has Amazon Prime, there's no reason not to. It's free, it's easy, and they are backed up. So you know they're safe then. And then the next thing I do is once a month, I take all of my photos and I do like you were saying, and I get them all, take them all off my phone or back them up. And I just save them all to an external hard drive. And I would suggest for anybody, even if you don't do it once a month, like for you, you took all 50,000, is to keep it manageable.
Yeah, that's not once a month. That's a couple of years.
That's a couple of years. Yeah. So what I would do, like for you, at least I would divide them into year. I would make folders for you while it's still easy right now. I would make folders for each year. Personally, I have a year folder, and then inside of each year folder is a month. So I have 12 folders inside of that folder with each month because I'm doing it once a month. So they're all organized by month.
So almost
so
like a year, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah. And if you, so the neat thing, like with those years of photos you downloaded, you can put them all in folders per year. So you've got, 2024, 23, 22. But then after you start digitizing the pictures from 1995 and you're going to put them all together. So it's going to be your whole life, your grandparents' life, everybody, and folders by years. And every year could be represented if you have photos going back all of those years. So it's just a nice way to keep all of your stuff organized in one place.
Krista, we have a question that came in while you were sharing.
Yeah.
Once we get them digital, where do we store them? So, like, if a storm did come, the digital USBs and all that, where would we store them? Should we have a safety box for them? Like, is there should we make copies of these USBs?
So I have a desktop external hard drive. That's where I keep mine, which is sitting on my desk all the time. All of this is also being backed up, backing up to the cloud too. So that is in case of an emergency. If I was, if something happened, it would also be backed up to a cloud. If I were to have to evacuate, that would be one of the first things I'd grab and take with me was this external hard drive. I actually also suggest, so I'm using mine every day. I use it all the time. I'm constantly adding things to it and I use a lot of my photos for even my old photos for social media and stuff. So I'm constantly using mine. But if it's something where you're just using once a month, pulling out to store your photos on and not touching it again for the month, I would put that as well into, your safe box, which would be like a fireproof or waterproof box.
So like if anything did happen, then you just grab that box and you go, right?
Ideally, yeah, you grab the box. I suggest doing the fireproof, waterproof box with the thought that this is the box that you're going to take when you go. But what if you can't go, or you aren't, what if the box has to stay? It's prepared to weather the storm if it needs to. So that's the kind of the idea.
So how do photos keep legacies alive?
Oh my gosh. I think we are still in the infancy of how photos are going to keep legacies alive. I would love to be a fly on the wall 150 years from now.
Right?
And see, wouldn't it be crazy to see?
I want to hear the tea stories that are going to be talked about. Like,
yeah. I mean, I mean, they definitely do. Even for me, I only have a few photos of my grandparents. I mean, literally like 6 maybe of my grandparents on my Polish side. And I've learned so much about them because of those 6 photos. And it's just going to be amazing what the photo collections that our lives will have, what that's going to say to our great grandchildren and so on. I do think a really important part of that, though, is that we have to be thinking like that a little bit now, because if we keep all of those photos of the steam on our tea and the mist in the backyard, if we keep all of that together with our legacy, it's all going in the trash. Like, I just think it is. So we have to look at it from that perspective and create, folders on our computers or a separate hard drive or something that is like, this is the story of Grandma, Smith. And this is it. And here's Grandma Smith in 20 pictures, and here's my life, and here's your childhood, and doing those. So I think we have to be a little more proactive if we do want our legacy to live on through photos.
And how do you feel about getting pictures onto like Ancestry or Heritage or stuff like that as
I
well?
love that. Yeah, I love what those sites are doing, and, Ancestry has some new tools. I haven't played around with it too much, but it can help you find relatives. It's really neat. So, um or if you have a photo and you don't know who's in it, you could put it in and it can try to connect it to someone else, and you can see and be like, "Oh, well, this is somebody from my tree," and, like, maybe a third cousin has posted another similar photo, and it will connect them. So it's doing amazing things already. I'm really excited to see where that technology is going, but they're really on the forefront of that. So I do love that.
Well, that kind of goes into the question is where do you see the vision of photographing going in the future?
Um, you know, AI is doing some crazy things, and I don't know, I have mixed feelings on it, I guess.
I do
I
too.
have a love-hate. I you know, I
It's like that ex-husband that you can't get rid of, right?
oh, I know. I know. You know what I keep telling everybody? People come at me a few because I do a lot with ChatGPT and I do a lot of AI stuff. I
Yeah.
create some AI graphics and stuff. And I had one person in particular that had said, I don't agree with AI. I don't think that I don't think it's doing great for our world and blah blah blah. And I was like, well, here's the deal. If I was invited to the meeting to decide if ChatGPT should exist, I probably would be like, no, but I didn't get invited to that meeting. So here we are with it, and I have no choice but to either embrace it or sit there like all stubborn. And I'm like, I'm going to embrace it because I think it is, it's what we've got and we have to work with it. But yeah, I think that is going to really change imagery and photography. Yeah, I really think it's going to be an interesting time because already sometimes I have to, question, is that a real picture? Is that AI? I mean, you can't trust anything on social media anymore at all. So now I'm like, is anything, what's real, what's not? And so I
Right?
don't know. It's
Is
almost,
that really my grandma or is that not my grandma? Like,
yeah, exactly,
grandma, boy,
exactly.
did you look good when you were 20? AI.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Yeah, who knows? But yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm glad I'm here to watch this evolution. I think it's going to be an interesting one. What AI does with photography for sure.
We had a question about AI that just came in, Krista. Do you feel that the AI develops like an old, shady grain photograph from the 40s and 50s?
Does it develop? I'm not sure I understand the question completely.
Yeah, I'm not
Um,
sure. I think it's because it's grainy, right? Some of the AI images that are created through ChatGPT are grainy, so maybe old
um,
ways
I've
of
noticed,
development.
I have noticed, there's so many different platforms for creating images too that they're all a little bit different, and sometimes I'm even blown away. A lot of this stuff, like through ChatGPT, I find there's a certain like a contrastiness to it or a certain look that makes it kind of like almost obvious no matter what the content is. But yeah, some of them I can't tell. I just saw a post the other day of a nature photographer who posted 6 birds, and I mean they were gorgeous birds, 6 different gorgeous bird photos, and 5 of them were her photos and one was AI, and it was a guess which one, and I got it wrong. I guessed the wrong of the 6 was not the real photo. So I don't know. It's a different weird. I don't know.
Well, I guess it's kind of testing to see if we're really looking within the picture, right?
Yeah,
I say this to my kids all the time. When you look at a picture, look within it. Like
yeah,
look for the little grains, look for the little spots, the little circles, the little orbs that
yeah.
are coming up. Like back
Well,
in the 70s and 80s, there had a lot of purple and globes
yeah.
in the pictures. How do we get those out of the pictures today, Krista?
To get the like as far as to
Like the
gosh, the
color change,
retouch.
like the color exposure. You know how it was purple
Yeah.
grains in that back in
You
the day?
know, one interesting thing, and this is something I really love, that scanner that I had mentioned earlier, it's called the Epson Fast Photo Scanner that just scans groups of photos. It has an auto color correct on it, and it does a remarkable job with those old photos. Sometimes you'll see things from the 60s that are even a little yellow or like the purple tints, and it will take those tints out, and it does a really nice job. It also took, I was surprised by this because when I had scanned my photos from the early 2000s, late 90s, I didn't think of those as being off in color at all because I mean, the colors were generally fairly true. But when I ran them through that scanner, a good portion of the time I would look at the photos after and it really like brought out a little more contrast, a little more vibrance, and did correct the color shift a little bit. So that scanner is just an amazing tool, but there's so many other apps out and different things now, that color correcting or even digitally removing a spot from the background it's anybody can do it. At this point, it's an easy technology.
I want to talk about some of the tools because we talked about this before we went live. The old
Yeah.
photographs, photo albums where they had the glue and you had to take the pictures off. Is there
Mhm.
certain tools that we can buy to remove these pictures without damaging them?
Yeah, absolutely. So first I always tell people get them out of those albums right away because that glue is shifting the colors on them, and
Oh,
it eventually is going to destroy the photo. So it is important that you do take them out of those albums. That old glue is not it's really not good for photos. And I definitely suggest in general, if somebody's using a photo album or you're going to put them in a new photo album, to avoid those adhesive backed style albums in general. I don't think they're the best choice. But so yeah, to answer your question, I would definitely get those photos out of those albums sooner than later. Get that digital copy of them, and there's a few tools that make that easy. I have a few YouTube videos about it and stuff too on my YouTube channel that walk through the process. But tools that I found work the best. There's a, a spatula knife
almost like
thing.
a knife, right? Like a
Yeah, it's like a knife. It's called Scotty's peeler, I think, but it's a really inexpensive Amazon gadget. But this little, it's like a razor, like a spatula-shaped razor, just does a remarkable job of separating the photo from a page. So if they're stuck, it just goes right under there. If they are still not coming apart, if it's just ripping apart the page, if it's glued that tough, there is a chemical. It's a gooby gone kind of chemical that's safe on photos that I'm spacing the name of it right now. But yes, there's a great chemical. I try not to use it. Obviously, a chemical, you don't want to put a chemical on your photo, but it's never damaged a photo. Everything I've used it on is still fine today. But there is a chemical solution. I have that tool, which I'm spacing the name on, and the razor and all of my tools. I have a free photo resource guide that is listed on my website, and it's 70, I think over 70 now, tools of things I've just tested and tried, and things from my years in photography that I just know work really well, and things that just are things I've tested out over the past couple of years. So I just added everything from the highest quality picture frames you can buy on Amazon, the best photo lab you can get a print from, and tools that you can use to get pictures out of an adhesive back album. So I added all of that to the free photo resource guide.
I want to get into some of the shows that you've been on because you've been on some incredible shows. When I got your bio, I was like, wow. You've been on the Kelly Clarkson Show, World News, Good Morning America, and the World News Tonight, I think it's called.
Yeah, with David
So
Muir.
how did
Yeah.
how did it feel to be recognized by these big
Oh,
shows?
is- isn't it funny how you get publicity like that when you don't want it? I was not looking for publicity. And like I said, it was just coming out. I mean, this is just, I mean, a week after the hurricane, I was getting contacted by these different places. And yeah, it was a whirlwind for sure. But yeah, it was an interesting experience. So they found me, a friend of mine had shared on, he's a big account, a social media account, a lot of followers. And he had shared that, hey, my friend Krista is doing this work to help people photos. If you have any, reach out. So Good Morning America had seen it and asked to interview me and do it was just like an online interview. So that was the first one. Of course, you don't say no to Good Morning America. That was pretty exciting. But then what never even occurred to me is everyone's watching Good Morning America. So from there, it just snowballed. It was the World News Tonight with Dave Muir, the Weather Channel, Fox Weather, NBCLX, and then the last of kind of maybe 4 months later. So this kind of just kept going. It was like once a week, somebody new would reach out and be like, "Can I do an interview?" And it kept going on. And then the Kelly Clarkson Show, they actually flew me to Los Angeles and did a live interview on, or no, it was live, but it was a taped interview with the studio audience there. So that was quite an experience. So yeah, it was interesting. It was, yeah.
It's surreal, right? Like
It is. It's a
you're
little,
like, was I really there? Was it a dream? Did it really happen? Like
yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I got to meet some cool people, and like I love the producers for ABC World News Tonight and David Muir show. They're good people, like really good people, and I mean, the stuff, what a stressful job. The first time so they interviewed me twice actually. The first interview they did, they reached out at 10 a.m. and said, we want to feature you on the news tonight. We're going to need you to do bits like we need you to go record yourself with people doing this. I need this recorded. I want you to go to 3 different people, do this, and then we'll put it all together and have it live on the show tonight. And I was like, oh my gosh, well, where I live in Southwest Florida, you don't just, everything is a drive. Like nothing is, so it's like 30 minutes this way, 30 minutes that way. And at 10 a.m., I was still in my jammy pants. I was like, well, okay, I have to pull myself together. And so it was like kind of crazy. And they wanted it by, I think it was like 3 o'clock. So I quick pulled myself together, quick reached out to a few people I'd helped. Actually, I think I ended up reaching out to like 20 people that I'd worked with. Because I'm like, hey, are you available right now?
I need you now.
Footage now. So I mean, I just kept one after another. And I remember at the time I would talk to these people that I'd helped, and then they wanted to have a whole conversation because I'd call them and they were like, no, sorry, I have a dentist appointment, but I did want to tell you, thank you so much. I told my sister about you. I'm like, can't talk, gotta go. Like, yeah, so I felt bad. I think I had to make a couple apology calls the next day, like, sorry about that. But yeah, so I did it. I got my photography assistant helped me out, and the two of us hopped in the car, drove all over Fort Myers, got some footage at different places, got it to them, and they had it on the news at 6 o'clock, and did a whole piece where David Muir introduced me and talked about and used the footage to do a whole thing. So that was neat. But I really did. I liked they were probably my favorite. I don't know if you're allowed to have favorites, but I loved that show, and I loved I loved how they handled everything. They're very compassionate people, and I think they felt that way too because they invited me to do a second interview. So like 3 months later, they came back and interviewed me again. So yeah.
Well, being a photographer, right? You're taking a moment, a pause, a second, and then being put into that whirlwind of speed. Let's go, let's go, like right. It's like almost like that camera that takes like 100 pictures with one push, right?
Yes.
It's just like this is just happening, like and then we just pick the top 5. Like, oh my God, this takes time, right? And it takes time to go through all of that. Well, I'm really happy that you got to experience that because, sometimes the pain turned to purpose makes a difference, and it does that ripple effect, right? And it kind of goes into your tea because your tea is inspiring, motivating, and advocating. Why did you give me those 3 words for your tea, Krista?
Just, because I learned after the hurricane that most people just, they had no idea about, keeping photos safe. So I really wanted to inspire them to inspire people, like anybody listening right now. I hope they leave here feeling inspired that maybe they need to think about their photos a little bit. And then I really would hope somebody feels maybe a little motivation to start the project, even if it's, like I said, just starting with today with the phone pictures and going forward, just doing some simple steps to stay organized with them. So, and advocating, because I think just in general, advocating for the photo organizing world and the idea of keeping your photos organized. I think there needs to be more voices in that space. So I just want to continue to be an advocate and a positive voice, saying that, reminding you your photos are important and there's steps you can take to keep them safe.
And what meditation or moment do you take, like when you're editing pictures? Like, do you have a cup of coffee, a tea? Do you have a quiet moment, light a candle when you're editing pictures?
When I'm editing photos, I kind of think that process itself is a little therapeutic, to be honest with you. That's what I do when I'm stressed out with something else. I go edit photos. So
I need a break. I'm going to look at pictures.
I'm going to go look at photos. Yeah. I mean, when I'm editing photos, a lot of times it's somebody else's wedding, and it's just such a happy time and such great memories. So yeah, I that is partly a space that is mine for, and one thing that my husband always says is interesting. I work in silence. Like I don't even have music on. I have friends that will edit and watch a movie. I am like just engrossed in those photos, and that is just like, it takes my mind somewhere else. So in a way, that itself is therapeutic. But I also have, sitting next to me on the floor is my Chihuahua. He's also my therapy. He's my little dog. So sometimes he sits on my lap when I'm working and I'll just sit and pet him. And that is definitely yeah, he grounds me and makes me feel calm.
Well, I guess the music and the back noise, right? It kind of takes away from the moment, that pause moment, right?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Most of my friends do work with music on of some sort because editing photos can be a little monotonous, but I don't know. I just like the to focus on them.
And Krista, what's your favorite to restore? Black and white or colored pictures?
Black and white because it's easier.
Oh. I would have thought they were harder.
No, no. Oh God, color, because it adds another level of complication because you have to get colors right and stuff. So black and white is just easy. But I don't know. I don't know if honestly I have a preference. They're both they're they're both special, kind of depends on the photo, I guess.
And if there's one person you could photograph in history, who would it be?
Oh my gosh, one person I could photograph in history, dead or alive. We're talking anybody?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. Maybe Jesus. Like who I that's quite a photo. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I have one single great answer for that. But yeah, I would like to paparazzi Jesus for a day. That would be an interesting one. Um, but in more recent times, yeah, I don't know. One thing it's always been, if I had like a dream job, like a single dream job, it would be to be the so every president has a photographer that's there. I would love to be the photographer for the president and any president. I wouldn't, although, I have my political beliefs, I would not discriminate. I'd happily work for the other party. I just love the idea. I love capturing moments as they're happening. And I think what a powerful time that is and I see, you see those photos of presidents with their children or with their pet or in emotional moments. And I think, wow, like those are powerful, powerful images. So yeah, that's my dream job there.
And it might happen. You just never know who's listening to Tea Time. Like, you might get a call, Krista.
I'd like to throw my hat in the ring.
It amazes me who listens to Tea Time because sometimes I get messages and I'm just like, what? What? You know me? Like, I can serve tea.
Yeah. Well, I'm giving you most unique question. I've never been asked that before. That one caught me. I had to think there. That was a good question.
Right. And is there a certain celebrity that you would like to photograph one day?
Oh my gosh, a celebrity I'd like to photograph. Well, I actually did early in my career, I was did sideline photography for the Tampa Bay Bucks for the NFL football team, and that was so cool. So I don't know if I have a single person I'm not like a Taylor Swift fan. I mean, I'm not like that person. I'm not like a groupie for
I think Taylor gets a lot of pictures.
Yeah. I don't need to photograph her. She's good. Yeah, I don't know. I did enjoy the sports photography and that I enjoyed a lot. I don't, as I think about taking like my best pictures ever, I think taking pictures of everyday people is almost more appealing to me than a celebrity who's so, like their life is so captured. Taking photographs of somebody in a unique profession or doing something unique and really capturing the spirit of something that would be probably more interesting to me than a celebrity per se. That's someone that's photographed a lot and maybe their life is just out there.
And out of the three, people, nature, or animals, what picture have you taken the most of?
People times like 10 million. Second would be animals, and third is nature. I always joke when if I see a rainbow or the perfect sunset, I'm like, oh, I wish I had a bride and groom, or oh, I wish I had a family. Like
I gotta put people there.
I need people in front of it. Yeah. So I mean, some of those beautiful scenery I've seen, the first thing I want to do is capture somebody in that. And that's just, yeah, 100% people are my favorite thing to photograph for sure.
Well, I guess with people in it, Krista, it makes memory last a little longer, right? It's like us taking a picture of the backyard or the coffee cup or,
Yeah.
we stick a person in there, and then the person's like, oh, that person's there.
Yeah.
And it's not that picture that the kid will just throw away, like, oh, it's just a coffee cup. What was mom doing? Like,
A very good point. Yes. And that's the first ones I suggest. I work with a lot of people who've inherited photos, and I do suggest, like, let's start by throwing out all the coffee cup photos. Like, let's put them in the trash.
Oh boy, there goes half my pictures. Just bury me with the pictures. Have you?
I love that.
My kids would be like, "What was mom doing that day? Like, where was she?" So back to the book. I want to get the book back out there because I want people to go and grab that book as well. So, Krista, give me 3 words to describe your book.
Oh my God, heartfelt, informative, and inspiring.
And where can people find this book?
It's everywhere. It's distributed from Simon and Schuster. So anywhere where books are sold, any major book retailer online would have it. But Amazon is the easiest place. You can just go to Amazon.com and it's Beyond the Storm. And yeah, it's there.
Well, now I want to get to a little bit of personal questions. We want to get a little bit of Krista in there. So,
Yeah.
Krista, I asked you your favorite color, and you gave me vibrant colors. Why vibrant colors?
Oh, I love positive energy. I love enthusiasm. And if you put that into a color, it's just all vibrant colors. So yeah, I couldn't think of it. I feel like I am the most indecisive person today, but yeah, I don't have a straightforward answer for anything. But no, I just I love vibrant colors and bright, happy, cheerful things.
Well, it kind of goes into pictures, right? You like the color ones,
Yeah.
it's like a picture.
Absolutely.
It's vibrant.
Yeah.
It's the sun is up, the flowers are glowing, the sparkling dew on the flowers after it rains. And I asked you to give me 1 word to describe yourself, and you gave me the word passionate. Why that word passionate?
Because I really do put my heart into everything, whether it's my family or my chihuahua sitting next to me here, or photography, and especially now, like, helping people with their photos. I am just very passionate about things I believe in, and my heart is into. I do have a lot of passion for things that are important to me.
Well, I think your puppy's really quiet. I think he's sleeping.
He's doing good. He's sitting here staring at me like.
What are you doing?
He's like, why are you?
Pictures.
He can't hear you. He can only hear me. He's like, why is she talking to herself?
That's how my kids are, because nobody can hear because you're my hearing aids. Everybody's like, who's she talking to? Like,
who's she talking to? Yeah.
So, Krista, final message to everybody out there about pictures and preserving pictures, and platforms they can find you on as well to get the tools and the resources and all that good stuff. Where can they find that?
Yeah, for sure. Well, my website is thekristak.com. And that kind of links to everything through there. My main platform is Instagram. I kind of post everything to Instagram first, but then it goes from there to YouTube, TikTok, and so on. But on those channels, it's the.krista.k. And I try to post daily a little inspiration or a tip to keep photos safe. So those are the best places to find me. But I do have a workshop coming up. I have one coming up on the 27th. It's on my website, but it's called the Grab and Go Box that I'm going to be talking about. That's the name of my talk during the Memory Keepers Live Summit. But that's talking all about how, we had talked about the box to store things in. I created kind of a workbook and a method for trying to make the project as simple as possible and saving people pictures into one safe box. And I have recommendations for specific fireproof boxes and how to select one. And I go through a whole bunch of steps in that. So that's in the Memory Keepers Live Summit, but it's all on my website.
So is that in person or online?
That's all online. Yeah, it's with the photo managers. They're a national organization, really the leading international organization. They're the leading organization for photo organizing, and really they have all of the cutting edge everything. So if anything, it comes out, they're the ones that are kind of leading the charge for making photo organizing a more common everyday thing, a topic we're all talking about. But so they've organized this Memory Keepers Live Summit, and there's a neat lineup of speakers. The first speaker is Matt Paxton, who's from the TV show Hoarders. He also has a couple other TV shows and things going on. So he's the first speaker. I'm the second speaker. And then there's a great photo organizing woman called Miss Freddie. She has a classes she does and everything, and that other people. It's all sorts of prizes and stuff going on. So it's a really neat event they put together. But yeah, I'm one of the speakers. I'm really excited about my presentation at this event, just because it is. It's different than what I've presented before, and then it's very specific, and it's talking about how to select photos that go into this box and selecting the box and being safe.
Well, that's awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that, because I'm going to check that out.
Yeah.
So, Krista, thank you so much for sharing tea time with me tonight. We're just going to do a closing summary, and then I will be back next week, Tuesday and Thursday, and we're going to do it all over again. We're going to have some more incredible guests, and we're going to spill some real life tea and make a difference. So tonight's closing summary, tonight's tea time with Krista Kowalczyk has been a beautiful reminder that our photos are more than images. They are stories, legacies, and pieces of our hearts. Krista shared the importance of protecting and preserving these treasures so they may continue to inspire, connect, and heal from generations to come. Thank you, Krista, for joining us on Tea Times Table and showing us and saving our photos is truly about saving our stories. So thank you for that, Krista. And I'll see everybody next week. Same time, same place, and we'll do it all over again.